Hey, what's up, folks? Happy Super Bowl Sunday to each and every one of you, and thank you for joining us here at On Texas Football for our Sunday night live stream. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the one and only, the estimable Jerry Hamilton. We'll get into a lot here on the show. Longhorns got a 2027 commitment. We'll dive into that. Also, we know the Super Bowl is going on, so it'll basically be kind of an in-game live watch. The Bad Bunny halftime show. Y'all let me know, is it terrible? Is it good? We'll get into that coming up. Also, the conversation about a Longhorn in the secondary that maybe we haven't talked enough about. Maybe there's more than meets the eye about this young man. So we'll get into that conversation too coming up on the show. ESPN also has an article about the 2026 class overall nationally, and there's some Longhorns who are mentioned. So we've got some topics we'll dive into. It'll be a truncated, shorter edition, abbreviated edition of the show, of course, because the Super Bowl is going on. So if you got questions, comments, throw them out there as fast as you can. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show anytime. CB, I already see you're in the chat, so I appreciate you coming through. All right, Jerry, let's talk about the big commitment for the Longhorns, though, in the 2027 class. Longhorns get a quarterback commitment. Ty Knutson, did I get the name right? Okay.
Ty Knutson. He's out of Spring Branch. People say Spring Branch, Houston. No, Spring Branch, Texas, Smithson Valley High School, obviously down in there. But look, Texas went around. Texas offered him January 17th on Junior Day. 6'3", he's listed about 209, let's say 205, 202. There you go. 202 is what we listed him at, in that range, right? Texas went and took a look at some other guys nationally. They went and looked at Davin Davidson, the stud, the kid out of Sarasota, who I think is a tremendous player. I think one of the things here is, one, in-state kid, really good player, really plays well in the pocket, manipulates the pocket, really, Rod, I know you took a look at him too. Really accurate thrower of the football, and he's accurate when his feet aren't set. Now, he doesn't have the huge, massive arm that some other guys do, but he has really good ball placement. He's a state championship winning quarterback. He's got good functional athleticism, not really a dual threat guy. But I think coming off of KJ Lacey, coming off of Diabell, right? Texas was, I think, looking for somebody who, when you looked around, they messed with Kavian Bryan a little bit, who wanted the chance to play very early. That wasn't going to work. So Texas wasn't going to go give a big NIL deal to a guy that just wanted to try to play immediately, knowing that wasn't going to end up working out. They went and took a look at some other guys. They've in just where they were at in their recruitment. And I think Ty was the best fit for Texas. Also, a very good player. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's also a fit with all this too, Rod. So it's one thing to be a good player. Then are you a good fit? If some other guys are out looking for some massive NIL deals, they weren't going to be a good fit in this class for Texas, even if Texas liked them as much or more than some other guys, because if you're coming in expecting to beat out KJ Lacey or Diabell, the next guy up for that job after Arch likely goes pro after this year, that's not likely to happen. So I think Ty is a very good player, really good team, one of the best coaches in the state of Texas. Really manipulates the pocket well, climbs the pocket. He does some really good work in the pocket, a really good ball handler, which is asked of him in that offense, and an accurate passer. I think he's a good fit.
I'm just going to read my notes because you said a lot of things that I have right here in my notes. I'll just read them in my little checklist. Moves well in the pocket. That was the first thing.
That's the first thing you notice, Rod. That's
the first thing I was like, he moves well in the pocket. I wrote that tight spiral, kind of a compact throwing motion, impressive footwork in the pocket. I wrote that down again, so that stood out multiple times. Throws with touch and accuracy, can layer the football a little bit as well. Functional mobility, you brought up the functional athleticism, and accurate on the move. There's another thing I wrote down and I saw a lot of bootlegs and waggles. He's accurate on the move as well, even when he's got to scramble. So, and he will be good in the RPO game too. Right? You can tell a lot of the timing and the rhythm with the manipulation of the mesh point, and there's the sleight of hand that Sark talks about really good. He seems to have that natural, really fluid from that sense too in terms of. So, I'm with you. I mean, he checked a lot of boxes.
You know what he reminded me of when first time I watched him? That would have been a quarterback Matt Campbell signed at Iowa State.
Wow.
Rock Becht, right? And we don't want to say he's a starting quarterback for the 49ers. I don't want to go.
But
people will say, Jerry Hamilton said this, but he looks like that type of player to me. That Matt Campbell would have taken at Iowa State
Mm.
and won 7, 8, 9 games with.
That's good.
Coach team. That's what he looked like to me.
Yeah, that's I love that. I actually love that. That now to me that's a compliment. That's a hell of
a big compliment.
Compliment to Matt Campbell and also to the young man as well. So the Longhorns do get a commitment from a quarterback in that 2027 class. The Ty Knutson coming out. You say Smithson Valley, right?
Smithson Valley. Yep, 2-time state champion. They'll be going for a 3-peat next year.
Hey, Sark likes that, man. That's one of his. There are a couple of kind of added value data points he likes in evaluation. Multi-sport athletes. We talk about that all the time, Jerry. But also guys who are from programs with championship DNA.
Yeah.
He believes that the character building that it takes. Obviously, you want a young man with good football character. That you can find a lot of them with already developed great football character coming out of those programs, because you can't be a leader in great Texas football programs without developing that kind of football character. Yeah, they'll weed you out. They'll weed you out quick.
By the way, you know what I love about this photo here, Rod? The one thing I noticed the first time I looked at this photo, no dropping elbow with this guy. That's a great elbow position to throw from.
That's nice. See? Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And think about that. You're right. That is. Tell a lot from
a good elbow spot. That's a good elbow position if that is a consistent arm action, which it normally is for a kid throwing a football. That's a good elbow spot for him.
Good stuff, Jerry. Good stuff. All right. Let's thank our lead sponsor for tonight's program. Then we'll dive into a couple other topics. Thank you to our friends at Rogue Shop. RogueShop.com. Use the discount code on Texas. You'll get a very special discount from our very special friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. Our friends over at Rogue Shop have so many great products that can help you overcome and conquer some of those ailments that you may have. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's sleep deprivation, maybe it's general aches and pains from battling Father Time or from your playing days. Our friends over at Rogue Shop have so many great products that could help you. So reach out today, RogueShop.com, and use that discount code on Texas, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. All right, let's first of all, let's give a shout out to Texas men's basketball really quickly, Jerry, before we dive into some Super Bowl topics in Texas football, because it seems like they're figuring some things out. Seems like Texas men's basketball figuring a few things out now.
Yeah, so look, I mean, this is a big game because obviously they beat Chris Beard in his return to Austin, and that's been well publicized. We didn't go over that again. But what I liked about this game for Texas is, Texas had become – Dalen Swain was the story as a scorer. And look, nobody goes for 20-plus every night at major college level. That's a all-around player. That's never been his DNA to go score that much. He's made a huge jump this year. He's been playing at such a high level. Why I like that is he still did his thing, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, a couple steals. But Beard does a great defensive coach. He does a great job running doubles, pushing your offense out.
Yeah.
And instead of forcing, Dalen Swain took 5 shots. And people are like, what's wrong with Dalen Swain? I'm like, I have no problem with this. I actually liked it to see Texas go out to score 79 points when he only had 7 in the game. Okay, so Beard was running big doubles, monster doubles, whatever he wants to call them. Monster doubles normally when two bigs double a post, but you can do it with 2 big guards and have your own saying about that too. But look, Ole Miss knew they couldn't guard Vocatitis inside 10 feet in that game. They didn't have the size. They didn't have the strength. And so I think Beard tried to create some turnovers. And then Matas took full advantage, had 27 and 7. Then Tremont Mark comes back and has 19. So look, a day when Swain goes for 7, Matas and Mark combine for 46. That's what you need. You need 2 of your 3 guys to score the basketball every game. Because some guys are going to have an off game or 2. The funny thing about Swain, Matas, and Mark, they've scored in double figures, each of them, in 9 of 11 SEC games. So you just need 2 of those guys to go get it for you. But I thought one thing Texas has quietly done, they've executed late in games really well of late. That's growth as a team. Sean Miller's a tremendous coach. But the big thing about this was they did what they needed to do last week. They got a road win. They lost to Auburn, but came back and beat Oklahoma. Then we said it all week, all on Sunday. They need to get both of these home games this week. Then they position themselves to make a run at making an NCAA tournament. Well, they got it done. So they're now 6-5, over 500 for the first time in SEC play. And they get a week off. It's coming at a perfect time. So now they get the week off before they go to Missouri, at Missouri next Saturday, and then they're home for LSU. So now they have a golden opportunity here. They've earned their way into this, and now Texas can, look, they have at Missouri and LSU. At Missouri, they're going to be probably a 1.5-point dog in that game. They're probably going to be an 8-point favorite, 9-point favorite, maybe 10 against LSU. Then after that, it's a very tough stretch. I don't remember the exact sequence right now, but you go within the sequence. You go to A&M. You have Florida at home. You go to Georgia, and you go to Arkansas. That is a really tough stretch. And Texas isn't beating Florida, guys. Just news for you if you're chalking that one up because it's a home game. No, they need to get one of these road games somehow, some way. Whether that's Missouri or somebody else, to have a chance. I think to go 9-9 realistically. 9-9 gets them in without a bye or without a playing game. I truly believe that. Sean Miller's a tremendous coach. Texas is going to do really good things in the future. And he's got these guys developing and on the right track. We'll see if they can get it done. But they had to win both this week to have a shot.
All right. No, good stuff there. Yeah, I'm glad Texas men's basketball starting to put out a product Longhorn fans that at least can appeal to Longhorn fans. All right. I did see Cisco say, did you see the picture of Sims and Shanahan? I did. I saw the interview too. Shout out to my man Shanahan for keeping it real too, because they asked him at one point, Sims asked him about defending Seattle. And at least playing against Seattle, I should say, playing against that defense. And he said, I know you guys want my expert opinion, but I haven't scored a touchdown on the Seahawks in the last two times we've played them, so I don't know how good that is. I appreciate my boy Shadow keeping it real. But no, I did see the picture. It is great that they're back together. And then they put the Longhorn picture of those guys together, and they're hanging out. Now they're old men. But no, the Super Bowls usually is when the Wood has a chance to get together. Last time was when Shano was in the Super Bowl when it was in Vegas. That was the last time kind of the Wood got together and hung out at the Super Bowl. And we've been to, I want to say we met up at like 5 different Super Bowls and got a chance to kick it. But obviously I'm too old now. So I got out to the Vegas one because it worked out perfectly. It was one of those things where like I got a ticket randomly, like I got an invite and I got a ride. And it was like, all you got to figure out is where you're going to stay. It's like you can't pass up that opportunity. But it's hard to get tickets to the Super Bowl. So I only get it. Usually
did you see the price for parking today? Public parking?
No, exactly.
$400.
Exactly. Before baby girl, I could justify that, Jerry. I can't justify with baby girl now. I can't. I can't. That was one of my last ones too. I don't know if wifey's gonna have me just be able to go kick it at the Super Bowl, but it's always fun. So I'm happy for those guys, man. They're having a good time. All right, and I picked Seattle to win it, but I'm rooting for the Patriots, even though it don't look good because Seattle's a better team. But I would much rather. I don't want Shannon to have to deal with the psychological damage of Sean McVay winning one before him, and then the same damn division, Seattle getting one before him. Because I already know where his mindset is about that. That's tough to deal with. It's just tough. So that's why I'm rooting for the Patriots, but it don't look good. That dark side defense is legit. And they got more Longhorns on that team. So they got 3. Hey, I'll always take that.
Quandre's on injury reserve, right?
He's on practice squad. They changed the practice squad rules, Jerry, but now you can have, I forgot how, basically you can have better on the practice squad now.
That'd be cool if you got a ring.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's why, I came, and Longball Dixon had a great punt earlier in the game, pinned them deep, I think at the 2-yard line. And Byron Murphy's one of the best D tackles in the league already. Like literally year 2, he's considered one of the top D tackles in the league. So I'm happy for those Longhorns. All right. We'll get to some questions, but I got a couple of topics I want to ask you about, Jerry, because I know it said we have a truncated edition. It's going to be a shorter edition. So if you got some questions, throw them out there. But ESPN did an article recently, and I guess they're the top 2 players at every position based on their ranking. It's kind of what the article was based on. And there are a couple of Longhorns who were mentioned. That's what I want to get to. They call it Scouting College Football's top 2026 recruits by position, and they went position by position with their top 2 guys. And give me your thoughts about the other guys they compare him to as well. But Derek Cooper's the first Longhorn that's mentioned here, and they compare him to Savion
Hitler.
Hitter.
Hitter. Those are the top 2 running backs ranked by ESPN in the class.
Okay,
and they give Cooper the nod. And by the way, I just want to let you guys know this. I heard some really good things about Cooper this weekend again. So,
nice.
Yeah, Rod, I think Derek Cooper's showing out a little bit early. Now the pads aren't on, so take it for what it's worth. But they said high football IQ. Now, Craig Hobart, who's part of this, has done a couple of his high school games. So he's like me. He's been to see him. They had him in the Under Armour game his junior year. He's been to see him at high school. He's talked to the coach just like I have about Cooper. So we've heard some similar things and probably seen some similar things. But Derek Cooper's really impressing early on at Texas. And what they hit on was later in when they said that why Cooper, what pushed Cooper over the top, was that explosiveness at his size is what's really impressed Texas so far.
How big is he now? Do we know?
I think he was like 6'1" and 207 when I was through there during the season. Okay. I'm guessing he's right around 210 in that area. I haven't heard a absolute weight on him though.
Okay. And they give him the nod essentially in this comparison. They're basically doing their top 2 position. They give him the nod as the best running back out there. That would be, if he can contribute early, that would be found money for Texas, considering what they did in the portal to improve the running back position too. The other Longhorn that's listed here is when they look at defensive ends. They got Zion Ely. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. As the number 1, and they got Richard Wesley. It's number 2 here.
And why that's impressive, Rod, is Wesley was a reclass from 27 to 26. So he got out a year early. They said he reminds them of Robert Kimdichie from a build standpoint. I can see that comparison from a physicality build standpoint. Wesley, I've heard some good things about as well since he's been awesome. Now, they had some strep throat sickness that went through, so some guys missed 2 or 3 days. I think he was one of those last week, but Wesley's impressed. I talked to his Trey Lewis, his trainer down in SoCal, does a great job. When I was there watching them work out in July, there's like 3 or 4 NFL guys that Wesley was working with at the time. But he thinks Wesley 270, 275, probably 275 is just going to be a perfect weight for him. I think he came into Texas in the low 250s. Probably means he'll be about 260, 265. Very similar to where Lance Jackson was frame-wise when he came in. But I think Wesley's a very talented player. Ely's got some real burst. So that testing numbers he has. But Wesley is a young player, and I like where he's going to go at Texas. And I think Texas is pleased with him so far.
Yeah. No, I love what I saw in film from Wesley too. I mean, he's a reclassified. He still looks like he's a dude. Got all the raw materials that you want. So those are 2 Longhorns that were mentioned. They also mentioned Tyler Atkinson. They compare he and LaDamian Guyton.
Yeah, the linebacker from Savannah that reclassed from 27 to 26, signed with Texas Tech. I think Atkinson is a better natural instinctive linebacker than Guyton, but Guyton has some, and I don't want to compare him because people will run with it. He has some Colin Simmons-ish like pass rush ability.
I gotcha.
He is more, like they say, he's more of a true edge, downhill player. I saw him when he was younger at Savannah when I went to see Walter Mathis, a D lineman that Texas offered to sign with LSU, who's a damn stud, by the way, very good player. But LaDamian Guyton is really talented. But he's more of a pass rusher. I think Atkinson is a instinctive linebacker, was probably the best in that class. I mean, Rod, we've said we've all gone through the stats. 530 tackles as a high school player in 6A in Georgia. I mean,
it's absurd,
big time.
Yeah, the productivity is unlike anything I've ever seen. I don't think I've come across numbers like that from any high school defender, honestly, ever, and let alone the highest levels and in the arguably most fertile recruiting ground in the country. The Atlanta area too.
That'd be like a linebacker having 530 tackles in the District of Doom at Cedar Hill or DeSoto or Lancaster. I mean, that's the level of competition Atkinson was playing.
Absolutely absurd. All right. That's the I think those are all of the Longhorn Tower lists. I want to get Jerry's thoughts about that because I know Jerry knows about all the guys they were actually compared to as well. Okay. The Super Bowl 9-0. Did you have a pick in the Super Bowl,
Nah,
Jerry?
I don't watch enough NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this is one of those weird Super Bowls. I don't know if anybody saw this one coming. Like this is like I gotta go see like the preseason odds for both the Seahawks and the Patriots, but this is one of those ones like nobody really started coming toward till the end of the season when both teams got hot.
The chat will eviscerate me for this, but I watched some of the first half, but I was watching big air snowboarding in the Olympics as well.
Wow.
Like, that's one of my favorite things to watch in the Olympics because of how
Good for you.
32 miles an hour when they hit the jump, and they're going, these girls, I call them girls because most of them are like 16 to 18, and a couple of women, the older ladies in it, they're going 100 feet, 90 to 100 feet in the air, Rod. It's unbelievable. And now that you haven't watched it before, now that they've added the drone shots to it, it's amazing what it looks like from a drone view of the competition. It's one of the coolest things you'll see.
I got you. Oh, what's the name of the sport?
It's big air snowboard jump.
Big air. All right. I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll trust Jerry on that one, especially if Jerry was basically watching that over the Super Bowl first. All right. Let's get to a question here from Justin. Thank you for the super chat, Justin. We appreciate it very much. It says, what does the offensive game plan look like next year? Is that our last year's plan revisited and improved? I like to see some kind of combination of 24 and the last half season with more duo. Yeah, Justin, thank you for that super chat. I'll tell you this, I'll just say according to Pro Football Focus, but I will say it does kind of match up with some of the eye tests. Texas ran more gaps power schemes runs this year than they ran zone runs. And I think and I think Texas was trying to change their offensive identity, at least their run game identity a little bit. At least they wanted to do that. I think now with Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers, as I've said, I'm with you. I think they'll go back to more to 2024 with more emphasis on the outside zone. It'll still be a varied run game, but outside zone will be back to being the bread and butter. It was still this year. All your most explosive runs came on outside zone. But from a play calling standpoint, Texas did try to shift their offensive mindset to a more power-oriented mindset. It just did not work out well for the run game. So also expect Sark to go, see, I tried that, and go back to what I like to do, which is run the outside zone and kind of build the running game off of that. But I expect you to have wide receivers with more roles now, defined roles. Cam Coleman clearly being more of the down the field deep threat. Ryan Wingo now clearly been established as your yak daddy. Guy who does really well on those wide receiver screens. So you've got the short to underneath guy, your yak daddy, and then you have Emmett Mosley as someone who can work the intermediate area of the field. And Arch, Arch is honestly the identity of the offense. So my man Jeff Howard says that, but he is. So all the concepts need to revolve around what Arch does well. But now you have so many weapons. I can't see the offense being limited. I think you'll be top 10 explosive plays again, like you were in 23 and 24 because of the weapons you have.
One of the things this weekend, another thing I heard was that Raleek Brown and Smothers definitely are looking explosive so far. And I think the running backs are going to be the biggest benefactor this year. The more I think about it, Rod, and we've got to see what it all looks like when you put it together. But I think the running backs in the passing game may be the biggest benefactor of all this. Just because of Cam Coleman, Wingo is a junior, Emmett Mosley is a junior. There's a lot of experience there. And that Sark can be multiple with his running backs more so. Watch out for Raleek Brown in the passing game. He's going to get a lot of quality opportunities.
Yep. Both of those running backs were top 20 in targets for running backs. Remember in 2024, Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue were both top 10 in the country for running back targets. So to Jerry's point, Sark loves to get really shifty running backs involved in the pass game. Easy matchup advantages for him. So I agree with that. It's a big part of the offense too. So I think it looks kind of like the 2024 offense a little bit. Yeah. Which, nothing wrong with that. You were top 10 explosive plays. Matthew Golden was one of the best wide receivers in the country when everything was said and done, and you had a 1,000-yard rusher in Trey Weisner, and Jaden Blue was probably one of the top just X weapons. Like he was just an X factor offensively in the country. Like he proved that even in the playoff. Like scored against Ohio State was big. We had big plays against Clemson. He was just an X factor offensively. And I think you may have some of those guys back. So that's how I feel about the offense. I feel good about the offense being explosive again. That's what Sark's got to get back to. Last year, you were the least explosive offense Sark has had, I would say, period, because even in 21 when he first got here, at least you had Bijan.
Yeah.
You can be like, you know what, I'm going to give it to Bijan. And Bijan, at the backfield itself was explosive.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have any real dynamic like that other than Arch Manning scrambling, honestly, and Ryan Wingo on those quick wide receiver screens this past season.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what he does with the weapons next year and how do you see more pony package, Rod? I think there's possibilities there for him. And then the one piece to the offense, I can't wait to see how it turns out, is Nick Townsend. Does he make a big jump? Does he start to look like different because he's a different level athlete than what Jatavion Sanders could do for you? We'll see. Mm-hmm. If you get that piece that starts to jump in year 2, then you got some real dudes at multiple positions.
Yep,
that's kind of what I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, and to that point about the pony package, you were the least diverse offense that Sark has ever had too in terms of variety with personnel groupings and exotic looks. You didn't have that, and maybe I think because Sark didn't have, the inspiration, right? The athletes to go, I gotta maximize this player in this way, so let's do this. When he had, Keelan Robinson in the backfield and had, all those different running backs, Jonathan Brooks in the backfield and Jaden Blue, he would put together some really exotic looks. And I think 6-0 line package probably should come back. Something that's also really popular in the NFL right now. The Patriots actually are one of the teams that loves to run extra offensive linemen out there in neutral situations, not just goal line and short yardage. Right. All right. Thanks for the question. That was a good one, Justin. We appreciate it. All right. Let's thank our lead sponsor one more time. Our friends over at Rogue Shop. We appreciate them and all of their support of On Texas Football. Appreciate you guys for joining us too. We know Super Bowl Sunday is a holiday, so it's basically like you guys are joining us on a sacred holiday. So we appreciate that. Use the discount code On Texas. So you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop, bringing real plant medicine back to its roots. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. No matter what you're dealing with, sleep deprivation, anxiety, aches and pains from battling Father Time. Our friends at Rogue Shop, they have so many great products, and one of them could really work for you. It may change your life. Our friends at Rogue Shop would love to do that for you. RogueShop.com. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring our Sunday night live stream. All right, Jerry, I got a couple of stats, and I was just doing some research about obviously the team and the secondary a little bit, and found some interesting nuggets.
Yes, very, very chat. Perk your ears up for this one for the chat.
Yeah. So Cam Miller, and he's actually I think he's a data scientist. Yeah, does analytics, but it's college football related. For the I think it's PFSN. Is who they do it for, and they do a PFSN college. So then it's the college version. So he puts out their own stats. Sometimes they're taking some stats from PFF and combining them, but they do their own stats. And he puts out his SEC, like conference related stats. So it's about his SEC stats. And a few of them highlight some Texas players, but specifically a player that I want to get into when we mention these stats. And Matthew, you can pull up either one of them. Warren Roberson comes up a lot in some of these SEC related stats. When they look at the highest graded, or if you look at just overall, like say lowest catch rate allowed.
Yeah.
That's a stat that they look at, right? Lowest catch rate allowed. Now, Warren Roberson only had 187 snaps, so it was a smaller sample size. Actually, a little bit, I think a little larger sample size than I thought, actually, on defense. They have him with the 8th best catch rate allowed, or 8th lowest, I should say, catch rate allowed of any SEC cornerback. 46%. I was a little surprised by that, of course. And then I found another one. Thank you very much, Matthew, for pulling it up. I found another one. And you can see it for yourself there. You looking at the fewest yards allowed per coverage snap. And this one also was kind of shocking. Like I said, he played 187 snaps. Fewest yards allowed per coverage snap. Warren Roberson was first.
Wow.
This is all SEC cornerbacks with at least, I think, 120 snaps or so. 0.32 yards allowed per coverage snap. Thank you, Matthew. You see Malik Muhammad is on there. Give him some love. He's third. So shout out to Malik Muhammad. And then if you look at lowest passer rating when targeted, SEC cornerbacks here, Warren Roberson is second among this group. Malik Muhammad is ninth among that group.
You know what my initial reaction to that is, Rod, is one, I think a lot of people think of Warren Roberson from the special teams side.
Yes.
Okay. But this is where I started taking a different look at Warren Roberson as a potential corner. And yeah, he did play well in some of his snaps when Muschamp fought to get him to stay. Muschamp sees something in him. Not to say that every coach is right about everything, but when a coach comes in with a clean slate, he's just looking at these guys for what they are, what he sees in a couple of practices, what he saw in the Michigan bowl game practice, then what he saw on tape, and then talking to Mark Orfe, who had a relationship with. Well, they fought to keep Warren Roberson because that could have gone either way. And Texas fought to keep him, and they got him to stay. So he immediately, and then just seeing those analytics, he immediately becomes one of those guys to say, okay, Muschamp's going to give him a chance to have be a bigger part of this equation next year. I'm not talking starter, but a bigger part of this equation. But look, this is a guy who's been in the program a while. We know he's a physical player, sometimes too physical. Okay. Mm-hmm. But Warren Roberson, there's one thing you can't, and I don't think the prior staff that coached DBs that were there, this staff, Steve Sarkisian, probably the offensive guys who have gone up against him. One thing about him, that kid plays hard, and he does play physical.
Yeah, no, and that Michigan game, that bowl game was his best game.
Yeah,
it was the best game we've seen Warren Roberson play. Just overall, play with a ton of confidence, and he should be confident coming off of that game. And like you point out, hey, Muschamp fought to keep him. I went to look, so I saw these because, like I said, it's a separate. I imagine a separate grading system and everything that Cam Miller and his organization have. So I went and looked at Pro Football Focus. What do they think of his season so far, at least his season in 2025, and they have Warren Roberson as the 6th highest graded defensive grade for Texas last season, and the 2nd highest coverage grade at 81.1. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to devote some time and go back and watch his 187 snaps because, like you said, maybe I allowed the special teams to distort my view of him as a defender because on special teams he has been at times a disaster. Let's be honest.
If you're not a return man and your name is brought up on special teams, it's normally because you got flagged for something.
Yeah. So I just think maybe there's more than meets the eye. The analytics tell me there's more than meets the eye with Warren Roberson, and the bowl game, along with what Jerry brought up, which I think was very insightful, that, hey, Muschamp fought to keep him. Because of those 3 things, I'm going to go back and at least watch a little bit more closely the 187 snaps. And like Jerry said, I don't think he's going to be a starter for you, but maybe I underestimated his impact and now his contribution potentially going forward.
Yeah, I can tell you this. He definitely could have left Texas and gone to 2 other SEC programs with the idea that they were telling him he'd be a starter.
Okay.
So, I mean, that'll be interesting. Let's see what happens. But it would be nice if he takes that next step. Because right now, Rod, I think both of us are a little concerned about corner depth. But, what if Warren Roberson takes a step? Mm-hmm. And you have Cade Phillips, you have Masco. And I would say this, Masco and Roberson are probably very similar athletes at the position.
Oh, that's good.
I bet very similar athletes at the position. But if you have Warren, I've heard Samari Matthews. I've heard Texas really likes Matthews early. I'm not saying he's competing for a starting job. Don't take it and run with it or anything like that, but he's impressed early. So maybe some of these corner, because we did it on one of our shows, we talked, hey, do we have a little bit of a corner depth issue? Well, maybe Warren Roberson alleviates part of that, and we'll see if one of the young kids can as well.
Yeah. DKW makes a good point here. He said, Rob Babers, Texas led the nation in interceptions in 2024. I think most Longhorn fans did not expect this, but Texas was 12th nationally in interceptions in 2025. Yeah, that's a good point. And most Longhorn fans like myself complained about them not getting their hands on enough footballs. That's a good point. And I would say this, one more, there's two more quick nuggets before we get out of here. When they looked at, according to Cam Miller, highest graded SEC cornerbacks, shout out to Malik Muhammad. I believe they had him 7th, and in their system, they had Grayson Littleton 8th. Among the highest graded SEC cornerbacks. And then we looked at forced incompletion rate, which is something I actually love this stat because it's all about how many times a DB can get their hands on a football, and kind of a win for the defensive back. Cade Phillips was 4th in forced incompletion rate among SEC cornerbacks with 22.7%. So
I'll add this for the interceptions next year. You're going to have Ty Anthony Smith and Rasheem Biles at linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have 6 they had 4 last year, I think, from Anthony Hill had 2, Smith had 2. Obviously, Smith came late, but think about Smith as a junior with his ability to ball hawk from that position. And then Rasheem Biles is a freak show, intercepting passes from the linebacker position. So I think he's got 5, 6 in his career. So Texas is going to add that interception total linebacker next year.
I agree with that, Jess. Good point. Yeah. He's got 3 pick sixes in his career. And still got 1 more year left. Dude is a freak. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Told you it'd be kind of an abbreviated show just because the Super Bowl is happening. So we're all a little bit distracted, but we really appreciate you guys joining us tonight. Thank you to our friends over at Rogue Shop as well. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Nobody does it better. If we missed any of your questions, Jerry and Bobby will be up bright and early tomorrow morning with Coffee and Football at 8:15. So you can join those gentlemen then. And also we'll have the Winning Drive, the primetime edition tomorrow with myself, Coach Bob Shipley, and CJ Vogel. That'll be at 7:15 tomorrow. So just if you have any questions, something we missed, you can join us for those live streams. And if we missed anything, or if anything drops in between, trust me, keep it tuned here to On Texas Football and OnTexasFootball.com. For Jerry and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.